Favorite exercise for each muscle group. This should be a fun one. Keep in mind, this is a list of my favorites, not a list of the most effective exercises for all situations. Starting with the neck, nothing tops basic curls and extensions with a banded neck harness. I've always focused on fast concentrics when training my neck or doing the lifting part of the movements quickly. I think that translates more to any situation where you need a strong neck, and band tension really lets you lean into that. It's also very easy to push the intensity on these. On my final set for the day, I'll do as many reps as I can at max tension, take a step towards the anchor point, and do as many reps as I can again, and continue on until I can't. It might not be as important as with any kind of contact or combat sport, but I do believe a strong neck can help you out if you shoulder heavy odd objects. Sandbags, for example, are usually pretty bulky and will push up against your head when they reach your shoulder. Having the neck strength to resist that push and to help hold the object in place only makes sense. For the traps, it has to be the sandbag high pull. Something about the high pull has always excited me. You get to work on developing the power and explosiveness of your hips while at the same time building massive traps. What's not to like? A high pull, if you haven't seen one before, can be thought of as somewhat of a hybrid between an extended range of motion shrug and a weighted jump. Any training tool can be used for high pulls, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, or sandbags. I personally like the sandbag version most. It can be a pretty awkward movement when you first start working with it, but once you get the technique down, it will become one of your favorites. It's not often you get the chance to throw around a heavy, awkward object like this. It's just plain fun. The sandbag high pull is also the ultimate accessory exercise for shouldering heavy sandbags if you use a power-based lifting style, in my opinion at least. It will make you significantly more explosive from the lap. I highly recommend it. Initially, this one gave me some trouble. Pressing heavy things overhead is so badass, part of me wanted to choose that, but if I'm being honest with myself, the clear winner here is the basic pike push-up. Probably the best part about pike push-ups when compared with heavy overhead pressing is the minimal fatigue that comes with them. With pike push-ups, you can do some pretty crazy volume, going all the way to and beyond failure, and you're unlikely to push past that point of no return. Too much heavy overhead pressing can eventually take something away from other heavy movements, but I've never had trouble overdoing pike push-ups. Overhead pressing gives you more than pike push-ups do, added core and general stability gains. In a lot of ways, I would consider it a more complete movement, but in a program that's already heavily focused on heavy lifting like mine is, pike push-ups have been the better choice. When I say pike push-ups, I mean from different elevations, by the way. Basic on the ground, feet elevated on a plyometric box, and both of these done on parallettes for some added range of motion are my favorites. The exercise builds every part of the shoulders, but it is a bit biased towards the front delts due to the angle you press from. Lots of upper back work seems to balance that out though, and I haven't had any issues with posture or underdeveloped rear delts using this as my primary vertical pressing exercise. If anything, the extra front delt stimulation is a bonus since my training is already so heavily focused on the back. I was unsure exactly where to put this exercise because it just worked so much of the body at once, but for the upper back, I have to choose the sandbag to shoulder. There is so much to this exercise. Moving a sandbag from the ground to the lap, from the lap to the chest, and the chest to the shoulder works a very large portion of the body, upper back included. The main reason I love this exercise so much is just that it's a lot of fun. It's the greatest thing knowing I finally found a sport I enjoy that also builds muscle and strength just by practicing it. It's pretty much what I've been searching for in an exercise ever since I started training. I enjoy pure muscle building work, but the sandbag to shoulder adds another layer. Developing a skill while at the same time building a strongman upper back, it doesn't get any better than that. It's the thing that drives every part of my training. It's the one thing at the heart of all other things, the ultimate exercise, the exercise that changed my training forever. I do realize this is cheating a bit, pairing 5 muscle groups together like this, but honestly, I couldn't have it any other way. Choosing any other exercise for any of these would be a lie. For the lats, biceps, forearms, core, and calves, and truthfully, I wanted to put the upper back here too, it's the sandbag bear hug carry. Everything about this exercise is life-changing. Everything about it improves every part of you. If there's one exercise I think every capable person should be doing, it's the sandbag bear hug carry. The calves are easy to explain. Weighted walking works them through a decent range of motion with heavy weight, so they grow. They probably won't grow as much as they would if you isolated them directly on a machine or something like that, but I've never cared much for massive calves myself, so some indirect work and moderate growth is enough for me. The core is pretty straightforward too. If you don't keep every inch of it completely braced at all times, you'll fall over and lose hold of the sandbag. Intense bracing like this, spread out over a long time, builds a core that's incredibly developed and prepared for anything. Seriously, if you can teach your core to carry a heavy weight for a full minute and beyond, nothing else is going to cause you any trouble. The heavy bear hug carry also builds the biceps in the best way possible. Since starting the exercise, not only have my biceps grown, but my bicep tendons have become noticeably thicker. The carry prepares the biceps for real-world tasks, and I've gained a lot of confidence since I started focusing on it. There's so much more I could say. I could talk about how bent arm bicep strength has very high carryover to lifting awkward objects and functioning as a human outside the gym, or how biceps are the main thing holding back your true strength potential, but I made an entire video on that topic already. I'll have it linked below if you're interested. The forearms are put under tension for a long time with a bear hug carry too, especially if you don't clasp your hands together. Anyone who's moved a heavy awkward object will confirm this. The forearms are strengthened in the most functional way there is. It can't be overstated how important this is for every aspect of life. Grip strength is often the difference between someone who is truly strong and someone who isn't. And finally, there's the lats. The lats are often overlooked when it comes to carries, but they play a vital role in keeping both you and the sandbag stable and held in place. When your arms are wrapped all the way around the sandbag, your lats almost act as extra limbs wrapping around the sandbag too. I truly believe building wide lats has a huge impact on your ability to carry heavy weights over long distances. The constant shifting tension of a sandbag as you walk leads to some impressive gains in muscle and strength too. In this way, the exercise builds on itself. Carrying heavy things builds your lats, and building your lats lets you carry heavier things. Back with another calisthenics exercise. For the same reason I chose pike push-ups for the shoulders, for the chest I choose dips. Dips let me push the volume and intensity without using up too many recovery resources, which is essential on a program so heavily focused on big, compound, posterior chain-based movements with sandbags. Even though my main goal is becoming a better sandbag lifter, I still want my program to have some balance to it. I still want to make sure I'm working every muscle as well as I can, and dips are the perfect choice. Even if I wasn't trying to maximize my program, I'd still choose these. I think it was Alex Leonidas who once said, "Dips change the way your chest looks after one session." I've noticed the exact same thing. Including dips as a regular part of my routine just makes my chest look better. If I go a while without doing them, it's like I lose something. For chest, it's dips all the way. If I was going for 100% maximum growth possible, I'd probably put an isolation exercise here, but since this is a list of my favorites, and because I happen to get a bit lucky in this regard, for triceps it has to be the basic push-up. I love push-ups, and my triceps always respond very well to them. I know it's not the same for everyone. Some people build a big chest with push-ups and nothing else. For others, it's the front delts, but for me, the triceps are always front and center. Ever since I started focusing on near-daily, high-volume calisthenics training, my triceps have taken off. Tough to beat the basic push-up, no list would be complete without it. Today, it's my favorite triceps exercise. This was another easy choice. For the lower back, it had to be some type of lifting a sandbag from the ground. All variations work, but my absolute favorite is lifting a sandbag from a vertical standing position with a bear hug grip all the way from the ground to the chest in one motion. This exercise puts the low back under tension for a long time, forces you to use relatively lighter weights, allowing for more total volume, and also carries over very well to strength lifting a sandbag from the ground to the lap. The best part about the exercise is that it teaches follow-through. This is something I go over in a lot more detail in my upcoming book, which is slowly but surely making its way through the final editing process. Just wanted to let you guys know it's still on the way. But it's like when a martial artist goes to break a board. To break the board, they need to aim their fist somewhere beyond the actual board itself. They need to punch through it, not just to it. The one motion lift from the ground to chest height is like that. Continuing on past the usual end destination, the lap, teaches follow through and leads to a much stronger lift from the ground. I'm a bit obsessed with becoming more powerful, and the glutes play a big role in that, which makes this a favorite muscle group of mine. Plus, come on, everyone likes the glutes. I'm tempted to say any type of explosive sandbag lift from the lap would be my choice here, but another exercise is just so effective I can't leave it out: the reverse lunge. It's been well documented for many years now that the weighted stretch causes muscle gain. This is why the reverse lunge is so effective. It's the ultimate weighted stretch for the glutes. Standard technique works okay, but I prefer to emphasize that stretch portion of the movement by using rear leg assistance. I'll add more weight to the bar than I'd normally be able to lift with one leg, go as slow as I can on the way down, pause at the bottom, and stand back up by pushing hard with my back leg, and I'll repeat for reps. You've likely heard this is improper technique, but honestly, I don't think anyone who says that has actually tried it. It just works better. Any training tool can be used for the exercise: sandbags, barbells, dumbbells, or whatever else. For the quads, I have a relatively new one in my program. I've only been doing this exercise for a few months, but it's quickly become one of my all-time favorites: the sandbag box squat. I prefer to do the movement onto a low box with a sandbag held high up on my chest, meaning I grab low down on the sandbag, in a vertical bear hug position. Is the exercise as effective for building the quads specifically as, say, the high bar back squat with a barbell is? Maybe not, but it gets close while also giving you so much more. Any opportunity to hold a sandbag high up on the chest is worth the extra core and upper back development you get, and the box squat also teaches starting strength, or lifting from a dead stop, which I think is a very important skill to have when focusing on heavy sandbag lifting, as you're often forced to generate power from a dead stop position. You can also push pretty far beyond ordinary failure with the box squat, which gives it a lot of muscle building power. I've made an entire video on this one as well if you're interested. Last but not least is the hamstrings. For this muscle, I choose the sandbag row from a horizontal position on the ground. This is such a valuable exercise. It teaches leg drive, and in my opinion, is the single best thing you can do to improve strength off the ground with a sandbag. It also fries the hamstrings. Putting yourself in that completely bent over position, hands directly on the ground, hamstrings stretched to their limit, is insane for muscle growth. You might not notice how big a role the hamstrings play in the exercise while you're doing it, but you'll feel it afterwards. Get ready for some real muscle soreness. The horizontal sandbag row strengthens the hamstrings from the most awkward position there is and brings them one step closer to bulletproof, making it an easy addition to the list. And there you have it, my favorite exercise for each muscle group. What are your favorites? Or at the very least, what's your favorite upper back exercise? Just because I love talking about the upper back. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.